on the Bronco garage, we will be installing a Duff's power steering conversion kit on a 73 Ford Bronco with manual steering. Please read our FAQ before starting this job to prevent any major mishaps along the way. We will start by disconnecting the negative battery terminal, chock the wheels if you plan to work on the ground. If you have a lift, carefully position the lift arms on the body mounts and test the stability of the Bronco by shaking it while it is close to the ground. Once in the air, we will remove the front wheels and get to work. After securing the Bronco and removing the wheels, locate the end of the drag link attached to the pitman arm and remove the cotter pin and loosen the pitman arm castle nut. Do not remove it. Then use a hammer to smack the end of the drag link tie rod end with downward force until it pops loose of the pitman arm. Then fully remove the castle nut as well as the large nut holding the pitman arm to the steering box. Then use a puller to remove the arm from the box. If you plan on reusing your steering linkage and pitman arm, you do not need to remove the drag link from the pitman arm. We removed the drag link from the pitman arm because we'll be upgrading to a Duff's dual sport Heimsteer system while we have everything apart. Then remove the lower steering shaft clamp and upper column clamp to slide the steering column away from the gearbox. All that is left holding the old gearbox in is the 3 mounting bolts. After removing these bolts, the box will come out of the top of the engine bay. Now it's time to grab the new steering box and do a test fit. We will start by marking where the box is contacting the body mount weld. After removing some material, mark the area of the box with a paint pen so that after a test fit you can see the witness mark. Continue this process until the back of the box sits flush against the frame rail. You can then use some black paint to touch up the box. We recommend black Duplicolor. If the box does not sit flat, there will be added stress on the bolts and it will become loose over time. Once everything fits perfectly, tighten the bolts and proceed. Now it's time to reinstall the pitman arm with the tie rod attached to the new gearbox. Tighten the nut once the wheels are back on the ground. We will now deviate from the instructions because we will be adding the Duff's optional slip shaft. Since we are using a slip shaft, we will cut the majority of our steering shaft, leaving only enough for proper engagement into the upper U-joint. With a factory steering column and factory steering box in box location, the inside shaft will be cut to 11.5 inches. The outside shaft will need to be cut to 12 inches. These numbers may change depending on your setup, but the goal is to have 5 inches of total collapse when installed. Use a grinder and eye protection to cut the shafts. Removal of the clamp, washer, and bushing will be the same, and then we can push the column with steering wheel attached into the interior and then out of the Bronco to make cutting the double D into the shaft easier. Once removed, the shaft is placed into a bench vise and the double D is carefully cut using the U-joint to test fit often. Once finished, a punch is used, then divots are drilled for the grub screws. Loctite is used to secure the screws. You can then install the shaft in the Bronco using Loctite and the provided U-joints. If you were using the original steering shaft, you would install the steering box with the U-joint attached and then slide the steering shaft back down while pushing it to the side to avoid the steering box. This would allow you to mark where to cut it for perfect U-joint depth. We will now install the power steering pump on a chassis with the body removed so that each step can be clearly seen. If your Bronco is stock and did not originally have power steering, you will likely need an optional 2-groove pulley set from dufftuff.com, part number 3228. Use the 2 provided 7/16 nuts jammed together to tighten the threaded rod. If you have a 351 Windsor, use the Duff mounting bracket to correctly position the power steering pump bracket, part number 3160. Next, we will install the brass fitting located in the hose kit into the back of the steering pump using a 3/8 socket. Be careful not to hit the fitting too hard as it is soft brass. While we have the pump on the bench, we will install the bracket. Start each bolt by hand and then tighten in stages so that the bracket does not bind. You may need to shorten a standard Allen wrench to reach the bolt located under the pump. Next, we will slide the pump onto the threaded rod and turn our attention back to the Bronco. We will remove the 2 bolts on the water pump and install the mounting bracket. The 2 bolts are marked with red squares and can be tightened. Be careful and do not over-tighten these bolts. We can now attach the large nut and adjuster bolt hand tight. Next, we will install the belt using a pry bar to push the pump to the side. Be sure to tighten the adjustment bolt. Other belt tightening tools can be used here if available due to the square cut belt tool hole located in the bracket. After the belt is tight, tighten the nut on the all thread to lock it down. We will now install the hydraulic fittings into the steering box. Then we can grab the high pressure hose, being sure to route it in a safe way so it does not rub on anything. Next, install the low pressure hose in a similar way. Be sure to add a hose clamp at the pump side. Tighten all fittings and hoses at the end so that you can angle the fitting where needed while tightening. After installing the hoses, we can start filling the system using power steering fluid. Once filled slightly past the cold line, we will lift the front wheels off the ground and bleed the system by slowly turning the wheels lock to lock, first with the Bronco engine off. Once there are no longer any bubbles, lower the Bronco and start the engine. If the pump has a slight whine, this will be normal. If the whine is high-pitched and does not go away and/or the fluid is coming back out the reservoir, turn the engine off and check to make sure your hoses are plumbed properly. You can also contact Duff's tech department for further questions or troubleshooting at dufftuff.com. Then, click the Tech Department button on the home page. With the Bronco back on the ground, turn the steering wheel left to right, making sure the power steering is working properly. Check the fluid level one last time and check for leaks. Close the hood and take the Bronco for a drive for a few miles and then recheck the fluid. If all looks good, you have successfully completed the install of the Duff's Power Steering Conversion Kit.